You want to know why Suicide Squad had so much pressure on it? Well, Batman v Superman was not edited well, sloppy, and when fans saw it, it was more disliked than The Man of Steel, and some even tried to defend the Martha scene. Fans didn't like that, not one bit. So, with fans watching, the execs at Warner Brothers tried to put together a more fun edit of the Suicide Squad. They were hoping that folks coming out of it wouldn't be asking, "Why so serious?" When I watched the trailers, I wasn't thinking, "Why so serious?" And when I was coming out of it, I was hoping that I would have a smile on my face. And it was okay.
From the old movies of 30 years ago and beyond,
to the world of the new films of the last 30 years.
to the movies that are now playing, this is Old, New, and Now Playing. And now, here's your host, Will Robinson Smith.
Hello and welcome to Old, New, and Now Playing, your time machine through the world of movies. And yes, this review is coming up a bit later than I was hoping for. As I mentioned in my last review, I was in DC for about a week, and so I actually wasn't able to watch the movie until now, but it's one that I really wanted to sit down and talk with you about, so here we are. Let's just get right into this movie, which I'm pretty sure is going to make Hot Topic a lot of money in the near future, if it hasn't already. This is your feature presentation. Suicide Squad is the supervillain team-up movie starring Will Smith as Deadshot, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, Academy Award winner Jared Leto as the Joker, and Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. The movie is directed by David Ayer, who wrote and directed both End of Watch and Fury. The movie takes place in a post-Batman v Superman time and poses the question of what would the world have done if Superman was a terrorist instead of a superhero? That scenario, combined with the demonstration of what these villains can accomplish, gives Amanda Waller the green light to assemble her team of bad guys. They're kept in check through explosive implants in their necks, which Waller can detonate at any time. The team is put into action almost immediately when something threatens Midway City and has to be stopped. At the same time, the Joker is trying to track down Harley Quinn and free her from her imprisonment. As far as the flow of the story, it's not told entirely in a linear fashion. Most of the movie is, but at the beginning there's a good chunk of flashbacks that are meant to set up the various members of the Suicide Squad, both for us as the audience, as well as for some people in the movie. And of course that's not necessarily a bad thing. From what director David Ayer has said in interviews, there were a couple of ways that they were considering introducing the Suicide Squad members. The way they did it was fine, but it did feel a bit clunky. And since the Joker was one of the more highly anticipated parts of the movie, let's just go ahead and talk about him right now. I think Jared Leto did a really good job with his take on the role. As far as how much Joker we actually get in the movie, it's definitely more than just a cameo, but it's not quite as much as the trailers might lead you to believe. It sits somewhere in the middle, probably closer to the cameo side of things, but, you know, just barely on that side. That said, I did enjoy what we got. Leto has an unpredictable savagery about him that reminded me a bit of Heath Ledger's Joker, but also had a more gangster vibe that felt similar to Mark Hamill's Joker. I think part of that was due to the fact that we get to see the Joker and Harley Quinn together on the big screen for the first time, which was really cool, and, you know, I thought they had really good chemistry together. Harley came out of one of the greatest cartoons of all time, in my humble opinion, and certainly one of my childhood favorites, Batman the Animated Series.
Thank you, Batman!
Here, Margot Robbie takes on the popular role, and as I said, plays off Leto quite well. We get that sweet yet unhinged sense about her, and yet, while it did feel true to the original cartoon, Robbie found subtle differences to make the role feel like her own, and may have been my favorite character in the film. The other character I thought who worked really well here was Will Smith as Deadshot. Even as a villain, Will Smith just oozes charisma, and it looks like he's having a lot of fun in the role.
Nope, that's not the rules. No money, no honey.
He's one of the more humanized characters in the squad since we get a good bit of his backstory. There were some other members of the squad, though, that I was a bit more on the fence about, namely Killer Croc and Diablo. I will say, though, that the physical design of Killer Croc, played by Akinnuoye-Agbaje, was fantastic. It apparently took him about 5 hours to get into that makeup, and the detail really shows. However, as far as the character and how he interacted with the rest of the team, it felt like a less charismatic version of the Hulk, honestly. Croc had his moments, don't get me wrong, but there were times when, I don't know, he just didn't work for me. The other character that kind of fell flat was Diablo, played by Jay Hernandez, who was recently seen in Bad Moms. And I guess technically what I'm about to say here could be considered to be a minor spoiler. Minor spoilers! So if you don't want this part of the movie to be ruined for you, just go ahead and skip to this time code down here. I'll give you a few seconds. 3, 2, who won? Ready? So, for most of the movie, they paint Diablo as a conscientious objector to using his fire powers. Eventually, though, as we see in the trailers, he does unleash his flames on the enemies, but because we've seen it so much in the ads, to me the moment when he finally turns up the heat was a bit boring when it should have been a more dynamic moment. What we got was a bit lackluster, and it really should have felt like, oh man, whoo! Look at this dude right here, yeah! Also, I thought the story had some pacing issues, both at the top and between the first and second acts. Also, there's a mid-credit scene that had no business being in this movie whatsoever, and actually knocked down my overall thoughts of the entire movie in just a matter of minutes. On the whole, this is a fun, action-filled movie that thankfully didn't try to pull the bait and switch of having the villains secretly being good guys. They had some admirable traits, but most of that came from a sort of code among thieves, and they even say as much at one point. I give Suicide Squad a 6.5 out of 10. Again, it probably could have been a 7 or a 7.5 were it not for that end credits scene, as well as some other issues. However, it's certainly better than Batman v Superman, and one I would recommend seeing in theaters. No 3D required, though. So those are my thoughts on Suicide Squad. When you've had a chance to see the movie, I want to hear what you thought about it, and what's one of your favorite movies featuring an anti-hero? You can leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And I know things have gotten a bit off with my timing of episodes recently, but I will have my review of Sausage Party up for this weekend. I'm also going to be on the road again next week, but I will be dropping my review of South Side with You then, as well as my conversation with star Parker Sawyers and director Richard Taney, so be sure to watch for those. And actually, by the end of that road trip, I'll be in a completely different location, and so this is actually one of the last times you're going to see me in this environment, and so bear with me as I work on my new set. I'll have updates on my channel as that's going along, and hopefully we can get back in the rhythm of more regular reviews, so be patient with me as I make this transition and work to get things back on a more routine basis. But for now, that will do for this episode of Old, New, and Now Playing. If you like this review, go ahead and give it the old thumbs up, that would be swell. And if you want to stay up to date with everything going on this channel, well, just go ahead and click that old subscribe button down below. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time.